bet you're thinking that this would be an ordinary party. Well, you're wrong. Architecture. I'm going to tell you about architecture. Design Studio 2's Project 1 consisted of a brief to renovate a garage opening onto a back lane behind an early 20th century terraced house in Brislington in Bristol into a house for between 1 and 2 people. We had to select who would live in it and then base the design on them. It was to this end that I devised Helen Fenchurch, an amalgamation of cool transgender women that I know, and very probably including almost everyone seeing this footage. A 27-year-old musician. She needs her own space, she also needs enough room to host events. Considering the off-kilter nature of her social circles by conventional standards, a house for Helen Fenchurch needs a certain degree of insularity from the world around it, such that it provides an environment capable of hosting the alternative world within. The garage, shown in red, opens onto a back lane. It is also attached to a small area of garden, highlighted in dark green. It's 3 minutes walk to a park, 3 minutes walk to a bus stop, and from that bus stop, about half an hour in total to the centre of town. It's also 13 minutes walk to a large supermarket via a local high street with local shops. Rather pleasant. A closer view of the site gives us a sense as to what's around it. The buildings directly adjacent to the garage are other garages. The other buildings, shown in yellow, are 2-storey terraced houses. With knowledge of the site, the user, and her needs, we must now hit the books and consider references. This is The Japanese House, Architecture and Life After 1945, a beloved tome of mine. Within this book we find Takamitsu Azuma's 1966 Tower House, Toyo Ito's 1976 White U, and Osamu Ishiyama's 1995 Light Coffin. Tower House deals with its small site and overlooked surroundings by building upwards to create a sort of visual fortification against the city around it. White U looks only inwards with no external windows to a central corridor floored in dark earth, representing the grief of its planned occupant. Light Coffin is also a windowless space, with only skylights coming from above, with the appearance of a sort of distorted industrial shed. It was designed for a gay couple. Besides these, I also considered Ted Cullinan's 1963 self-built house at 62 Camden Mews in London, the ground floor of which has high brick walls with clear-story windows above, that is, windows that are horizontal but above eye level, so you can only see the sky out of them. They let natural light in. This space, despite only being lit by clear-story windows and having no eye-level view outwards, was perfectly comfortable to stay within. From these lessons, we can say that we can take advantage of our small site by increasing the height of our building, creating a level of visual fortification to prevent overlooking, and otherwise create a sort of insulated interior environment with the effect of something like fortification. But on our small site, there isn't enough room for introspection towards a courtyard, as to put a courtyard through the middle of the building would leave a tiny donut of space around it. So, how can we create a courtyard without surrounding it? The solution to the issues of both courtyard and height came about with the idea of a shaft, that is to say, a garden whose walls are about 5 to 6 meters high and made of completely opaque material. From the outside it would have the appearance of a tower. From the inside it would have the appearance of a courtyard between densely packed buildings. This sense of dense urbanity at the innermost point of the house would create a sense of enclosure and safety, even in relatively sparse surroundings. As for the main garage and the interior, the idea was to raise the roof height from the garage somewhat, leave the original walls where they were, and then in a gap created by the roof and the original walls, put a line of clear-story windows to light the interior just as Ted Cullinan's house is lit. Combining these lessons, we have Fenchurch House, or the house for another world. Here is the shaft, where the light comes down from above. Here is the garage itself. You can see the roof has been raised, and here are clear-story windows above the original bricks. These reinforcements, you can see here and here, are original to the structure. They provide a decent visual of fortification or otherwise enclosure, and so I decided to keep them. This 1 to 10 detail shows how the original blockwork walls of the building were modified to make them highly efficient, a U value of 0.15, that's 0.3 lower than conventional building regulations currently mandate. All this construction would be done with timber, even the insulation being made of wood fibre, This sequesters carbon, making the building highly sustainable, a key component of the brief. In the floor and roof plan, we can see that the garage door has been closed and replaced with a conventional one in the middle, and there is a single door at the rear as well, in the spot where a window used to be. On the south side, we have the kitchen and we have the bathroom. The bathroom has been sized to permit it to qualify for Part M Category 1 visitable status. That is to say, it's comfortably usable by a visiting wheelchair user. There is also a shower on the south edge, drain indicated there. The dotted lines here show the position of the clerestory windows on the north and south facades. Since the roof of the garage has been raised, even though there is a garage immediately to the north, another one, you can have clerestory windows above it, so you have light going down both edges of your interior. Very nice. Above it we have the roof plan, simply showing the shape of the original pitched roof, the garden wall to the south, and the high garden fence for the courtyard box. Also take note of this dotted section line, AA, looking that way. We'll need that later. An elevation view from the south side indicates the height of the shaft and the original garage, plus its raised roof and the little clerestory windows in a row through there. This here indicates the height and position of a neighbouring terraced house, so it's similar height but still quite a lot smaller. The original wall and the original wall of the garage are both covered in white render. There's dark stained timber here, dark tiled roofing, and the shaft is clad in panels of plywood, painted grey. This is the view indicated by the section line. So you can see it's sliced right through the kitchen sink and the interior. The interior is actually 3.2 metres high, nice and roomy in there, almost like a small chapel or church, with the natural lighting windows on either side of the central space. We can see the width of the road opposite, the height of the houses, and the house behind. Before we can show how the interior is occupied, we have to work out what it's occupied with. This is a bit of furniture design and kitchen design that we've done for the interior of the building. So there's storage under the bed, a table that can fold away so you can host a dinner party for 6 without taking up too much room, a kitchen, iteration 2, and a stackable stool, also for the dining table. Here we have the hand-cranked, cable-based mechanism for opening and closing the clerestory windows despite them being way high up. You see these in public buildings sometimes, and a few private ones. These interior layouts show 2 different ways the interior could be set up, different positions of the bed, different places the table could go, and different places it and its stools could be stacked up. It's a lively little interior, all sorts of things can happen there. And finally, for an idea of scale, here's a scale model of the south facade, showing the texture, the layers, the little windows, and the height of a person, plus the height of the shaft itself, of course. It's rather a nice little building, I think. Well, thank you for looking at this little guide to my Project 1 portfolio submission. I really hope you enjoy it, and I'm looking forward to see you all soon.